welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Haley and you're watching Between the Pages. The last book review I have for you is Book of Night by Holly Black. This has been popping up on lots of people's most hated, most disappointing, least favorite books of 2022, and I can't say I blame them. I did give it a 4, but I only gave it a 4 because of the reveal at the very end, which I will definitely be talking about because I was like, what? Like a good what? Not like Long Live the Pumpkin Queen where I was like, excuse me, what? No, this was a good what, because I was like, that's really clever, and it totally took me off guard and like came out of left field, and I was like, excuse me, explain, please. It's never really explained, but I still thought it was a really good ending, so that's why I bumped it up to a 4 instead of a 3. So yeah, it's about this girl named Charlie, who is kind of known for doing crimes. So she breaks into people's houses and steals artifacts and books and documents and stuff for various people. She has a boyfriend named Vince who lives with her, who doesn't have a shadow, because in this world, shadows can come to life, like your actual shadow, depending on if you've had it altered or you give it blood or energy or whatever to like wake it up. Basically, they call it quickening, but I'm gonna just call it waking up, to wake up their shadow. And you can, like, if your shadow ends up getting strong enough, you can command it to do things. So like kill people, steal things, break into places, things of that nature. She also has a sister named Posey who lives with her, and Posey does not have a quickened shadow, and so she wants one, but she ends up getting one in the end anyway, which I'll talk about that. So yeah, you find out that Vince doesn't have a shadow because we're gonna talk spoilers like this whole entire review, because I don't know how to review this book without spoiling anything. So please leave, or if you don't care, keep watching. Doesn't bother me. So you find out that Vince doesn't have a shadow because his name's not Vince. His name is Remy, and he is the grandson of this guy named Salt. I can't remember his first name. Salt's like a big baddie, who is responsible for killing Charlie's mentor, who taught her how to con people and stuff. Like, he's responsible for the murder of him. So Vince, I'm gonna call him Vince, doesn't have a shadow, and that's because he fed it too much blood and energy, and then he set his shadow loose and was like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And it's only because Vince, or Remy, shall we say, died. And Vince is the shadow who is now human, because when Remy was dying, he gave Vince like all of his blood and his last breath of life, and that turned Vince, the shadow, into a human. And I was like, what? Like, that's really clever. Like, I did not see that coming. There were no signs or anything. But I guess I should have been clued in to the point, because at one time Salt gives Charlie like a fairy tale book about this guy and his shadow, and his shadow gains so much energy that he starts telling people that he's the human and the human is his shadow. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I should have picked up on that, but I didn't, because it was really subtle. Again, I like subtle foreshadowing, because now I realize that and I'm like, oh, that should have been my first clue. So remember how I mentioned that Posey has a quickened shadow now? Yeah, because Charlie gave her quickened shadow. Because at one point, this guy comes in and he's asking for Edmund Carver, which is also, which is Remy's real name. He just likes going by Remy. And Vince comes in, sees him, and is like, oh shit, this guy knows me, like, and so he snaps his neck. But before that, the dude's shadow, like, goes down Charlie's throat, like, trying to, like, puppet her. because apparently if you have a shadow, you can be puppeted by other people, but if you don't have a shadow, you can't be puppeted by other people. This magic system is very complicated, which is why I was kind of intimidated to read this in the first place, because it's an adult fantasy, and I haven't read Ninth House. It's still sitting right there. I will read it eventually. I think I might add it to my January TBR, but I'm not sure, because I took one book off my January TBR to put on my February TBR that I'm already planning. So yeah, I was a little worried that I wouldn't understand the magic system, and it is really complicated, and a lot of people have been saying that it doesn't have any plot, and like, yes, it kind of has a plot, but not until like 75% into the book. The first like 75% is just like I feel like it's a character study of Charlie and her past and why she does things the way she does, and like a very intense like backstory for Charlie, like, and Remy, because like I believe like every other chapter up until like the last 25% of the book, every other chapter is the past, which I personally like learning about backstories because I like human psychology, and I like being able to look back and be like, oh, that's why that person acts the way that they do. I just find it fascinating, but that's me, and I'm weird. So I feel like it's more character driven the first 75% of the book, and then when you find out that Salt has hired Charlie to go find the Book of Night, to find, because apparently there's supposed to be this ritual in the Book of Night that allows you to make your shadow a human. And apparently, like, no glow mist has ever completed this ritual, and so Salt wants it to create, to basically like quicken his shadow, or maybe it's to destroy Vince. I don't know. It's not really explained because the book doesn't matter. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. So I liked that. I like when everybody's after this one thing and then you find out that that thing doesn't mean anything at all. It might as well not even exist. I like that. I know how some people could be like, what the fuck, I've read this book for the whole entire time and there's no point anymore. I actually liked that. I was like, I like how you guys are all searching for this one thing and it means absolutely nothing. There's no ritual like that in it. What happened with Remy and Vince, that was just a fluke. Like, there's no way to turn a shadow human. It's just, I think it was because of all the blood and the energy that Remy had put into Vince, his shadow, which they call him Red, but he calls himself Vince, so that's why I'm calling him Vince. But he put all this time and blood and sweat and tears and energy into Vince, and that's how Vince became human after Remy died. So yeah, again, it's very complicated and convoluted, and I can understand why people may hate this book, but I don't. But I'm the weird outlier in that when people hate books, I'm like, yep, give me that book. I need to draw my own conclusions. So that's why I picked up Forbidden. That's why I picked up Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. So yeah, that was my incredibly rambly and complicated review of Book of Night by Holly Black. The sequel is supposed to come out next year. I'm hoping that Owlcrate do another exclusive, because this is the Owlcrate exclusive edition, because it's just so gorgeous, so pretty. I cannot wait to see how this looks on my bookcases. So yeah, I will see you guys later.